Have you ever felt like doctors see pharmacies as nothing more than medicine dispensers? Or pharmacists quietly think, without us, half of humanity would be a walking drug interaction experiment. Inside every hospital and pharmacy, there is an invisible story. Sometimes mutual respect, sometimes silent rivalry. And every now and then, that long-term marriage between two proud professionals. They know they can't live without each other, but they rather not admit it out loud. Let's be honest. In today's healthcare system, the doctors write the prescriptions, the pharmacist fills it, the patient simply hope they are not the victims of a communications breakdown between the two. The relationship between doctors and pharmacists isn't broken, it's just complicated. Both aim for the same goal, patient safety, but the road to that goal is full of gray zones. Pharmacists see themselves as drug experts. Doctors see themselves as human experts, and each quietly suspect the other of overstepping. To be fair, their rules are different and complementary. Doctors diagnose diseases, decide on the treatment plan, and prescribe the drugs. Pharmacists make sure that plan actually works in real life. The right dose, the right form, no dangerous interactions. In other words, the doctor starts the journey, the pharmacist makes sure it doesn't end in the emergency room. Inside hospitals, doctors complain that pharmacists double-check everything like investigators. Meanwhile, pharmacists roll their eyes at the doctors who don't ever read the drug leaflets. And in between stands the patient taking the medicine or the side effects that could have been avoided with a single phone call. According to the Journal of Interprofessional Care, over 40% of serious drug interactions are detected after the prescription is filled, meaning the error reached the patient. Why? Because there is no direct lines between both sides, as if the law itself put them in separate offices or separate planets. This love-hate story is ancient. Centuries ago, the doctor was the pharmacist, one person diagnosing and mixing herbs, but as medicine advanced, no single brain could handle it all. So the professions split. One mastered the body, the other mastered the drug. Then the 19th century drew the legal sword, the separation of prescription and dispensing. Doctors could no longer sell what they prescribed, the pharmacist could no longer prescribe what they sold. The simple rule that saved the patients from the conflicts of interest that turn the medicine into teamwork. And so the old dance continues. Doctors think pharmacists are too picky, pharmacists think doctors are too reckless, and both agree on one thing: the other needs a refresh course in professional humility. The biggest issue is trust. Doctors don't like being second-guessed. Why this drug? Pharmacists don't like being treated like vending machines. And behind those egos lies a practical mess. In many health systems, pharmacists can't access full patient records, and doctors can't see pharmacist notes until it's too late. Decisions are made with half the information. And in medicine, half the information equals full-scale risk. Where systems try to fix this, the law are often rigid. In the US, pharmacists can't modify a prescription unless there is a collaborative practice agreement with the doctor. In France or Japan or Germany, pharmacists can adjust the form of the drug, say from tablet to syrup, only if the patient can swallow, and they must inform the doctor in writing. So the law acts like a peace treaty between two defensive kingdoms, talk to each other, but only through official channels. Still, no law can legislate trust or ease the internal question, who knows better? Then came the 1960s and the radical idea. What if pharmacists work inside the medical team instead of behind the counter? That's how clinical pharmacy was born. Pharmacists began joining hospital rounds, reviewing doses, flagging dangerous interactions, and sometimes telling the doctor, hey, that antibiotic dose is too high. This patient has kidney issues. At first, many physicians took it as an instruction, but within few years, studies showed hospitals with clinical pharmacists had up to 30% medication error and saved millions in healthcare costs. Slowly, doctors realized the pharmacist isn't the enemy. They are the safety net. The doctor sees the patient, the pharmacist sees the drug, and the one who sees both save lives. The struggle isn't local, it's global. In the US, the American Medical Association keeps warning about what it calls scoop creep, the fear that pharmacists are encroaching on medical territory. In reality, pharmacists argue that the healthcare system are overloaded and sharing responsibility is survival, not rebellion. In Canada, pharmacists now prescribe for minor ailments. The result? Faster service, shorter waiting times. Yet some doctors complained that the patient no longer know who their doctor really is. Across the Arab world, the picture is even murkier. Few clear laws define who does what. In one hospital, the pharmacist is full team member. In another, they can barely step beyond the dispensary. Globally, the main challenge is the lack of unified framework. Every country draws the line differently, and without that structure, old conflict will repeating the same mistakes, different continents. Doctors and pharmacists are not two rivals in a race. They are two wings of one bird called healthcare. If one tried to fly solo, both crash. What they need isn't another conference or slogan, but genuine collaboration, mutual respect, and systems that encourage them to talk before errors happen. The pharmacist is not the doctor's shadow. The doctor is not the pharmacist's supervisor. Both serves the same master, the medicine, and ultimately the patient. The patient doesn't care who signs the prescription. They care that it works safely. And the medicine itself doesn't care who handles it, but it punishes mistakes for either side. So maybe it's time to stop asking who's more important and start asking how we complete each other. Because the doctor understands the disease, the pharmacist understands the drug, and neither truly heals without each other. If it could help another pharmacist out there, then like, comment, and share.